Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Who really are your presidents and prime ministers? This is going to be a walkthrough exercise for all of yous watching. What that means is that I'm just going to walk you through for one particular country, a prime minister or president in one particular country. And for every country that you folks, my audience, is out there, you're going to do it parallel with me. So I'm going to use the US president, not USA president, but US president, United States president. You, if you are in the UK, England, or United Kingdom, you're going to look up prime minister. If you're in Africa, in the country, you're going to look it up. And through that, I'm going to walk you through how you think the presidents that you see, or the runner-ups or the runner-downs on television, are actually the people that are going to take some sort of a meaningful office. You are not. And I'm going to talk you through, and I have done something similar to this a few months ago, okay? But I forgot to do the audience participation. So if you're in India, open up who is the prime minister in your country in India. If you're in Africa, say Nigeria, open up the Wikipedia page for your president. And if it's in Israel, you have president and a prime minister. Open up their Wikipedia page and I'll show you really who is who, okay, on the back of a president in the US. And the reason why I'm doing this is to let you folks know that this mechanism that I'm going to expose, this mechanism that I'm going to show you, is identical in virtually every country in the world. I say virtually because I don't know every single country. So for the majority of the country, say 200 countries, 300 even, I don't think there are 300 countries, but you understand what I'm saying. Full stop. Let's go to the live presentation. I am going to be dealing with the United States president, which all of yous in the past 2 years or so have come to know as Joe Biden. Joe Biden is the one that stands on the platform, and he is running for President of United States, not United States of America. He never did. You can see that there. Okay? President of United States. What does it say? Does it say President of the United States of America, which is what you folks out there in the US or the Americas USA know being what it is? But quite clearly, this person, and he is a person, which means it's a persona, an actor, is Joe Biden, who sits in a acting position called the President of the United States, not United States of America. You got to find out in your own perspective countries, just by opening up the Wikipedia page for that country, to go and see what their actual real name is, okay? So you can see, the president he preceded from Barack Obama. That's an actor. And that's abbreviation, yeah. So let's find out what his real name is. Parents, those are his parents. What other names does he have? Let's have a look at it. So we've got this name here, Joseph Robinette Biden Sr., and then we have the junior, okay, abbreviated. You must spell out the whole name with the J-U, okay, not just abbreviated, because abbreviations are open for interpretation and they're not that universal. So you now understand that this guy called Joseph, with that wonderful name, Rubinet, which I think is a Jewish name, Biden Jr. with a JR, as to opposed to spelling it all out, which would mean junior minor, that's junior minor senior, is not ever, never ever did he ever appear on your television screens or in the newspapers or was ever interviewed with this full name. Can we all agree that is the case? That this man, let me see, I'll just increase the skies a little bit too much, I think. I tend to overdo it with the magnification. So let me just recap. Okay, this man, you see he's born. Doesn't say birth, born, okay? Which means he is on the land, and the law of the land is what he sits on. You see this? What does it say? Okay, you read it out to yourself. Now go to your own president or prime minister of your own country and do exactly the same thing. Okay, you have a birth certificate, he was born. It doesn't say birthed. And I'll come on to these things later. So I'm now going to pose this as a question. If you was a corporate instrument like McDonald's or anything on the stock market, and you wanted this thing called Joe Biden to do your bidding, would you write to Joe Biden or would you write to this man here, Joseph Rubinet Biden Jr.? Who would you write to? What's the answer? Remember, everything is a geometric level playing field. So we know that this is an actor, Joe Biden, and the purpose of an actor called Joe Biden is to create what's known as statutes and rules for the conduct of other actors. Everything in a corporation is an actor, is an act. So the corporation, anything in the stock market or any other corporation, would write to him and petition him as a corporate instrument to do his bidding, okay, as one corporate to another. When this happens, the actor can hear the other actor, but the actor doesn't need to do anything because United States is one corporation and another corporation is the corporation that is writing to. If McDonald's writes to Burger King and says, hey, don't sell your beef burgers at that price and do this and that, what do you think Burger King is going to say? F off. You know, in a simple language. You guys understand this? Okay? You understand that? Now, if you as a living man or a woman wanted to write to him as the President of the United States of America, as you being an electorate and him being in a position to perform acts, how would you write to him? Would you write to him with this name, or would you write to him with Joe Biden? You would write to him in this name, Joseph. Why? Because a corporation cannot speak to a man. Yeah, this is the man, this is a corporation. But a corporation can speak to one another. And if they have disputes, they go into the Admiralty Court, which is the Court of Mirrors. If you as a man wrote to him as another man and instruct him as to how a corporation would conduct itself, like McDonald's or something like that, and you give him the instructions as one man to another, and then instruct him in his public capacity, which is his acting name to perform your wishes, do you think you will be able to do that? Do you think you will have results? What's the answer? The answer is yes. Now, when you do write to him, this man here, okay, under his born name, when you write to him, are you going to write to him, let's imagine your name is Mark Kishon Christopher, are you going to write to him Mark Kishon Christopher, or are you going to write to him MK Christopher, or are you going to write to him in any other different names? The answer is that you write to him with your birth name. With your birth name. And you don't necessarily need to use what is called your surname. You can use your family name. Your family name is what you and I think of as being your surname, but they're not. They're two different jurisdictions. Surname means that it's essentially soured by a farm animal. Your family name is the service that you provide to your clan. You can call it a clan name, or if you're a Christian or a person of a belief, so a man or woman of belief or of faith, you will call it your Christian name or your Islamic name or your tribal name or whatever it is. But if you want to speak to him as yourself, you just use your first names, even your first name or your first two names. It's more than sufficient. Okay? Now, the reason why I am doing this is I have to, as a plenipotentiary judge, to educate you sufficiently to be able to take control of your government for this corona period, which is what your government is waiting and asking you to do. This includes all the turmoil that is in Australia. They're basically saying, if you don't tell us what to do or how to do it, what your wishes are, we're just going to, go ahead and do what we need to do, because when we can't hear you, you're talking to us, your servants, as if we're your masters. We're your servants, so talk to us as your servants. So they have so much troubles in Australia with the military on the ground, with the threats of false vaccines and so on and so forth. But apart from a few people in Australia that are my students, as well as the judge, the Federal Postal Court Judge Hugh, spelt with a H, what does he do? He picks up his pen and instructs his government what to do, and what happens? They do what he tells them to do. You understand this? How can your servants give you a job? How can your servants veto you wanting to take or not to take a vaccine? You can't. You are confusing your servants for your masters and your masters for your servants. You have no master. You are the master of your government. You understand this. And I'm giving you the bureaucratic mechanism, or be it what is known as the knowledge that a postmaster general has to use the postal mechanism to make your instructions available and hearable to your servants. When you see so many of these comedy sketches and some of these very serious movies, how do you ever see the master speak to the butler? He doesn't speak to him as a servant or a dismissive. He speaks to him man on man so he can go and perform his duties. He doesn't belittle his servants. He doesn't upgrade them into God status and master status and still pays their wages. So what's the challenging bit here for you Africans, for you Americans, for you Canadians, for you Indians, for you Chinese, to do what I've just asked you to do? Because as a Postmaster General, I am teaching you the conduits, how to access these things. And as a plenipotentiary judge, which means I'm here to educate you, I'm teaching you how to do that. It's simple enough, is it not? Go to my website. There are documents there that are so free that once you look at them, you will understand them. The vaccine warranties, the communication basis to your presidents and your prime ministers, which are your servants, not your masters. You can't ask your government to give you a job. You are the man and woman that employs your servant. It's an absurd statement for you to ask your government to give you your job or to do anything for you. You have to tell them what to do, how to do it, called instructions. Period. This includes your faith leaders. They are not leaders, they are your servants. Your churches, your mosques, your synagogues, your temples are your servants. They're there to service you. That's why it's called, when you go to church, I'm going to service. Not that you are going to service the church, but the church has to perform a service for you. Because you are the beneficiary. Because you're the one who pays their money. You're the one that puts bread on the table for them. In the Corona period, orientate yourself so you see your government as the servants, so that you see the officials as your servants. Do you remember what it said as to what and I still can't pronounce it, Titular, ruler, when I did my last live broadcast about half an hour ago? What did I say? A person in an official position of leader who possesses few of any powers. He can't be a leader or anything. So what is he waiting for? He's waiting for your instructions. You remember that? Look, they are waiting for your instruction. So if you out there in the United States, in Germany, or whatever country you're in, and you want your servants who services your bureaucracy of your house, your nation, you don't want Monsanto Terminator seeds, or you don't want this particular vaccine available to the people, how are you going to do that? I've just given you the mechanism. You're not going to ask them, show me this, show me that, prove me this. Your servants are not there to prove anything to you, but just simply to follow your instruction. Offer them your immunity and tell them what to do. Command them, instruct them to follow your instructions in a cordial manner. Hopefully, I have made it very clear to all of you that your president is your servant. Your prime minister is your servant. Your so-called faith leader is not a leader, but your servant. And you're going to church for service. Not that you service the church, but the church services you, because the church is a group of people that come together. The building is irrespective. That, ladies and gentlemen, who is your senators, your governors, your servants, because they are your butlers and they are your waiters, to service you, to bring about the things that you want, whether it's a bowl of soup, or to get rid of Monsanto, or to remove the pharmaceutical industry from your country, which are designated as makers of poisons and potions. Your MPs, members of parliament, your lords of spiritual and temple, which are your servants, the Supreme Court in your country, which are your servants, the military, which are your personal bodyguards that you protect, you pay to protect you. If I was to hire my friend Mustafa, who's the cage fighter, which I spoke to you about, as my bodyguard, am I going to tell him how I want him to guard me and why he has to guard me? Or is he going to start telling me what I should do and should not do? As long as I don't infringe upon his skills and he carries out my wishes under his skill sets, we have communication. But he is my servant. You understand that? When he's training me for physical strength and boxing and wrestling, he's my teacher. So I have to show that to him. Those are him in life performing different roles for me. And when he's my counsel, my health counsel, I have to listen to him because that's his field as well. That's his speciality as well. And I take instructions from him. But when I am tutoring him on the things that I know, who listens to who? Who's the tutor and who's the student? These are the dynamics in everyday life. A dynamic that has been so heavily twisted and turned against the people that they don't know whether there are men and women or corporations or persons. They don't know whether they are the servants or the masters. They are mostly petrified of their governments. My government does exactly what I tell them to do, usually within 45-day trust law. They're my servants, not the other way round. That, ladies and gentlemen, who your prime ministers, presidents, your governors, your senates, your MPs, your church congregation are. They're there to service you, just as your water company is, your housing association is, just as the electricity and gas people are there. They're there to service you and not the other way round. Make that orientation, and all of a sudden you will have the center of gravity that you have always earned for. You will have that point of reference, that ability to spin 1,000 miles per hour in one spot, like a genie coming out of its lamp, with a thunder cloud and lightning and so on and so forth. A point of pivoting, a point of central gravity to make you as dynamic in the period that we are birthed into, the corona period. On a last note, please, your servants are waiting to be instructed. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.